how does a successful real estate agency, swim through these currents?
We DoorDash as well.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Thank you so much, Luxe West Realty. We have with us Dylan Davis and Chloe Dillard. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
This is episode 8, and I think we're on like location 6 of filming. So like we're trying to get it figured out.
I love that. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize that you did it somewhere else every single time. I guess I have watched the video, so that does make sense. Yeah.
Not every single time. Well, I guess it was. We did one in the office.
Oh, okay.
We did 2 in the office.
Okay.
And then we did 1 in the shop.
Yeah, 2 or 3 at the shop. We've done 1 in my apartment where
And
Kevin and I met. Yeah, so it's
cool.
I think it's a logistics thing. Like, well, the kids are home, so we can't use this house.
100%.
Yeah. That's what we were like. Everything was scheduled. I was like, my wife was like, hey, because like last time they got home. And
I was like 10 minutes after we finished recording.
And it was, they hit that front door and it looked like it sounded like buffalo just, and I was like, man, I'm glad we were done.
Just got done.
Because it was, so.
Yeah, there's no stopping them.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
So, Kevin, you have 3 kids, 1 on the way. I have 2.
Mm-hmm.
How many, do y'all have kids? 1?
Mm-hmm. And I have 3.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, if this is an IQ test, who is the smartest?
I'm going to
The
say
1 or the 4?
Dylan with 1.
And it's like,
Kevin, you're on the bottom of the scale here.
I'm like, yes. Well, we're in panic mode. Or like, I'm like, as it gets going, we have bad days, you just like, and it's like, and we're fixing to add another one. And I'm like,
and you just look at your wife and look down at her stomach and go, what are we doing?
what have we done? Like, what have we done?
Is it a boy or a girl?
Don't know yet.
Oh,
Don't know yet. So
awesome.
Did y'all find out with the first 3?
First one we found out. The second one was a surprise, and then the third one I don't remember what Harvey what. I think we found out on him.
You got 3 boys.
Yeah.
The not finding out's fun.
Yeah, I did that once.
It's not like I don't recommend it all, but it's like cool to do one time.
Yep.
To where it's like, man, it's just a surprise. I had gotten a boy and I was like, man, I really want, but so the second one I was like, didn't mind.
Exactly what
so I was like, let's let it be a surprise, and that's cool. Like especially like I'm there and you watch it happen and you're just like, it's so exciting.
It's amazing.
I never thought I'd be a guy going it's exciting, but I definitely. Thought it was
cool.
fun. So.
Do you think you guys might do that for this last one then? I mean, you've got all the boys.
No, we're gonna find out at Christmas.
Okay.
So at Christmas,
that'll be
so
fun.
we're gonna find out. So I think we're gonna. I don't know why we didn't wait, but we decided we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, are you guys wanting the other boy, or are you hoping for a girl?
I'm good with whatever. Like we're both. Haley and I are both like, hey, if it's a girl, that's cool. It's a new adventure. But then it's like, hey, if it's a boy. Man,
we know what we're doing.
I've got all the toys.
Yeah.
I've got all the clothes.
Yeah,
it's like
that's true.
We just go.
It is a game changer if it's a girl.
That's
what
I'm
you'll
like.
probably still keep the toys and clothes for a while too. You're like, you know what?
Yeah, you could just just put a bow on it. Just
for sure.
Either way.
My wife says the Northcuts don't make girls. It's
No.
not possible.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of boys.
Oh, is it?
And
Okay.
all my brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's 12 grandchildren, and there's 2 girls.
Just 2 out of them.
Mm-hmm.
What you have 3? What are your?
So my eldest is 6, and he is a boy. He is a boy. His name's Stone, and then my middle is a girl. Her name is Cove. She's 4, and then my little Bambino is a little boy, and his name's Drift.
Oh,
Stone,
cool.
Cove, and Drift. Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, thank you. So they're all my little rugrats. So yeah.
So you're knee deep in it, like you're exactly where I'm at. I got 6, 4, and 2.
Yes.
And it's like
you're in it. Yeah. You're definitely so like.
Some days you wake up and you're like, man, this is like we got it figured out.
This is the wrestling.
And then it's like literally, like right now we're in the phase of like my wife, like I'm like, hey, I need this or that because she does all the office, and then it's just like you hear it in the background. I'm like, I think I'll call back.
Yes, I know.
Oh wait, I'll get that info later. So it's like the.
How old is your child, Dylan?
She's 6.
Oh man, okay. I have a 6, about to be 7, and a 9-year-old.
Where do y'all live?
We live in Stephenville.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Isla
So
Street.
they go to Stephenville School.
Yeah, Jacket Nation forever.
Yeah. That's it.
It's a wild place.
I just realized, just in case one of Stone's teachers are watching this, he's 7, not 6.
Oh.
I'm like, hang on a second. My bad. So sometimes we don't have it together.
No, I don't always remember.
He's alive, okay? That's
That's the check. That's the main objective.
right.
That's awesome.
Right.
So, you two are co-founders and owners of Luxe Realty.
Yes, Luxe West Realty.
Luxe West Realty. Yep,
Gotta
my
keep
mistake.
that West in there.
Yep.
Gotta have the West. Which your logo's sweet, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That took a
The-
long time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My wife used to do graphic design, and so I just love logos.
Yeah.
And
Yay.
that your branding is spot
Thank you.
on.
That's a compliment. Thank you. I'll give that to Dylan. She worked very hard on that. We went through a couple people and ended up.
There were a couple of people and that just kept looking like a nail salon logo.
Yeah.
And so we had to just take it over and
Yeah.
do it ourselves, kind of.
Well, good on you.
And
guys.
we
Yeah.
found someone that helped do it and get it to where we wanted. But yeah, it kept not going in the right direction for like a year.
And it really does. Like, honestly, I never looked into a brand until we went through that experience ourselves. But like, it really does make or break a difference, I think, when someone puts in that extra effort or has something that comes out that really has, that impact or that impression. Because sometimes someone can just like,
Throw
okay, well,
something out
let's
there.
just, that'll work. That looks good. And it really that's all you ever get out of it as a consumer too, when you even look at it, right? Like, so that's a compliment in my mind, because it really does matter, I think, what your first
Your
impression.
logo, your imaging, it's your first impression.
Yeah.
Does it look good one color? Does it
Yeah.
look good, multicolor? How
Yep.
can we use it in different applications? It's a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Luxe West is new-ish, correct?
Very.
Like, when did y'all start?
January. I mean,
Technically kicked it off January.
Yeah.
So almost a year. We've both been in real estate 10 years apiece.
Yeah.
We started working together at our previous brokerage in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were just doing lots of things together and
Yeah.
teaming up a lot. So we were like, we'll just team up and just make a Dylan and Chloe team. And then we barely got started doing that. And we're like, we need to just keep on going with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we stopped that immediately and started creating this.
Yeah. Because, we had the team, we were under the other brokerage, and we kind of don't do anything slow paced. So like,
Or halfway. Yeah.
or halfway.
Full
So
in.
yeah, we were putting a lot of money into just branding a team, and logo, and so we thought, you know what, I think we've kind of got the knowledge and the backbone to figure this out ourselves. So we took the step, and it's been a lot. Like, we've had to kind of honestly step out of real estate a fair bit in the last 10 months because we, starting a business and all the things and the logo and all the wheels in the background, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, you're creating your infrastructure. Like,
Yes.
all that first year is all infrastructure of how
Yeah.
do we operate, how do we function, how do we appear,
100%.
and then you can execute on that infrastructure.
Yeah.
For sure.
What did the Lux? Is it? Is it just? What's the meaning behind it? Or
Luxury Western real estate, luxury
Okay.
Western living, honestly,
Okay.
is what our passion is.
Okay.
So we obviously love real estate, but the luxury Western lifestyle. I grew up on the other side of the world, and I've met my best friend / business partner now, and we both ended up having that same thing in common. Is like, we loved the Western way of life, and we also love the finer things in life, and we're able to blend those together in our careers, and so it kind of made sense for us.
yeah, well, that's cool.
'Cause, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's a great segue because I want to know, like, we want to know about both of you. So yeah, you're not from Texas, clear. What's your story? How did you end up here in Texas?
So back in 2010, my little sister and I just decided to buy a ticket over to the United States. I do have an uncle. There was a reason that he lives in McKinney, and he's in real estate as well. And so we were like, okay, well, we're going to travel the world. Australia is so isolated, so we were going to come over and make Texas our base. So we were just going to come visit Texas for a little bit. The NFR was on at the time, and so Guy McLean had a horse show and he had a spot right outside the Thomas and Mack, and my sister and I got a job so that we could be there for 2 weeks just shoveling crap. Yeah. And that's what we did so that we were able to go to Vegas, and it was great. But we met a lot of people from Stephenville there. And that's eventually what
Cowboy capital of the world.
Yeah.
Jacket Nation.
Exactly. So that's how I kind of met a lot of the people that were connected to like Dylan's world.
So, okay, you're traveling the world. Is this summer in the high school year? Is this post high school?
No, I was 21 at the time when I left. So it was, I grew up on a cattle ranch in Australia. It was just a little over 180,000 acres my family had.
Just a little over.
Just a little. Yeah. And so we grew up pretty isolated. And when I graduated high school, I went over to, I didn't go to college. I went to South America on a scholarship for Rotary International. And so I lived over in Peru for 12 months. And then once I did that, I went back and worked on the family ranch. And I guess we call it Jillaroo. Like, you know, you ranch hand around and work on other cattle properties. And I kind of got sick of it. And I was like, okay, let's try something else. And Texas, honestly, is the cooler version of what we have in Australia. Like, we're like, I would say like the rough version of it. We're so isolated from everything. I grew up like 8 hours from town.
So this is like Central Australia, middle of the desert.
This is like everything on steroids that I love. Like you get to have like the Western way of living, but like you can also go to a rodeo, 45 minutes that way or 10 minutes that way, and like have nice food on Saturday night, and like you can live that lifestyle without having to not see other humans for a couple months at a time.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean,
yeah,
this sounds cool though, to be 8 hours. So you're 8 hours from town, like so
I was 8 hours from town. Like, so
did you fly? Or did you drive it?
Drove driving. And I say
so
that
getting groceries.
To get groceries. I was about to say, I was 8 hours from like a town that had like a grocery store.
Okay.
So like we would have like much smaller towns on the way.
There's other towns, they just don't have.
But they don't. Stores. They're just really small. Honestly,
yeah. They're like Bluffdales or like
super small. Yeah. There's always a pub in Australia. No matter where you go, how small it is, there's a pub.
Okay.
So there's always somewhere to get a beer.
It's the same in Texas.
Is it just like deserty? Or is it like this? Is it like lots of rain?
Some of the terrain is like this. Like where I grew up, one of the places that we had was a bit like this, like beautiful, larger trees, good grass, good soils, and then some of it's pretty desolate.
Okay.
Yeah, like so more like we call it the downs, and that's when I was younger where I grew up, and there's not a tree for miles and miles and miles. Yeah, but we would drive, and so our education, we were sent to boarding school because we were so far away from good education. You were homeschooled until you're about 11, and then in order to get a good education, you were sent to boarding school.
Okay.
So that's kind of
where was your boarding school?
So I would drive the 8 hours. We got on a flight for 2.5 hours, got on another bus for an hour, and it was in the southern part of the state. So we were up in the north. I'm from North Queensland, just outside of Brisbane, Toowoomba, in Queensland. So is where I went to boarding school.
That's wild. My mom went to boarding school. She grew up in like super jungles of Bolivia. She was a missionary kid.
Yes, I love that.
And then same thing, like you're with home, you're with the family, but then at high school she went to boarding school in the city.
Yeah.
In Bolivia, and so that was her existence.
I've been to Bolivia. It's pretty
Is Peru like pretty awesome place, or you're like don't care to go back?
Well, as an 18-year-old girl, I had to learn to love it because it was an eye-opener. I'd never been to a third world country in my life. And so I remember flying in and looking down, and almost looked like ant piles, but like human-sized ant piles. And honestly, it was homes of like cardboard boxes like that they were putting, and that was over the airport as you fly in. And so I'll always remember, like, so now as like I've traveled a lot of the world, and I appreciate that. So very cool. It's an amazing place.
Yes.
But at the time as an 18-year-old girl, I didn't think so. I was pretty overwhelmed and thought, oh my gosh, what is this? But yeah, it's amazing. I did the Machu Picchu when I was there.
Did you do the 3-day?
I did.
hike?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I thought was it 3 or 4? Yeah, it was the whole. I did the whole hike. It was.
Well, I think they have like a 7-day trail,
No, I did
3-day
the
trail,
7.
and a
Yeah, I did
1
the
day.
7.
Okay.
We did the whole thing. Like, so it was amazing. And my sister flew over to meet me and do that. And yeah, I ended up like didn't know a lick of the language at all, because in Australia we all have like Asian influence, like Japanese, like we all have that influence. Like we in our schools it's French or Japanese that we learn. We don't learn Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So when I went to Peru, like I was in a book like this for 6 months with a headache and using my hands as much as I could, and eventually I ended up being fluent, and it was awesome.
It's pretty like the I love Central, like going that whole area. I haven't been to South.
Yeah.
I've just been to like Mexico, Belize, and Panama.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed every time I go. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like you said, it's a different world,
Yes.
but it's I don't know. I like it.
Well, they have an appreciation for life that I feel like we unfortunately forget about in our world here.
Yes. No, you'll say what I found so interesting is people would in our minds they don't have a lot, but man, they're fired up about life. That's where I'd see these people. We'd be 3 hours into the you drive 3 hours into the jungle, and these people are just as fired up about living as or more
They're
than we.
happy.
Yes, that's what I
They're
mean. Just
happy.
I'm like that's pretty. So that's a very eye opening. Like okay, like hey, I need to.
Well, money is not a variable that produces or takes away happiness. Like
We tend to forget that though.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that is very true. And it is good to travel to places like that, because
I think it's a very good. I think everybody should just puts everything in perspective.
It does.
When you have a bad day here, it's like man,
Yeah.
like
Could be a
That's
lot worse.
pretty good. Yeah.
I like
Okay.
it. We're in good
sure.
shape.
Yeah.
So, sorry about the flies.
Yeah.
They showed up like 2 days ago.
Hey,
I was
when
like,
the cold front came in, as the flies found the warmth.
Yeah.
It's like, dang it.
I was telling him I was trying to kill him last night, and I was just like, we might.
it's fine. We got them.
So, Dylan, you're also into rodeo. You told me the other day you used to be a professional, like you were on the professional rodeo circuit.
I did for a little bit. I had a really good horse. Well, I grew up traveling, but
Look at the
not,
deflection.
Not as
Did
cool
you
as
did
her.
you guys notice the deflection? No, it wasn't me. It was my horse. Like, I wasn't very good. No.
That's
Yeah.
how she rolls.
Well, so I grew up. My stepdad was a bullfighter, and he rodeoed 300 days a year. Was on the road, so we traveled nonstop as well. But we went to every rodeo grounds in America instead of really cool places in other countries. But
Just as cool.
So yeah, I grew up.
I think America's got some really. So when you're,
Yeah.
if you've seen a lot of the country, then
Seen a lot of
so that's cool.
Yeah, I
America,
think
that's
that's
for
great.
sure. So grew up traveling a lot doing that. Then I went to college on a rodeo scholarship. I had a really nice horse and didn't make it too far in college at that first try because I just started pro rodeoing and used him while I could. Sometimes you don't know how long you have a horse
Yeah.
for, or something can happen or they can get hurt. So he ended up getting hurt a couple years into it. So I rodeoed for a few years on my own, just traveling America.
So
my
you were
dog and
doing-
me.
You were at school at WT, right, in Kenyon?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So at this point, I graduated high school, came to Stephenville area, and then started just rodeoing. So then I pretty much lived in my horse trailer with my dog and my horses and traveled, came home in the summer for a month or two, and then did it all over again. And then once my horse got hurt and I took some time off, I went back to college. So then I went to WT in Canyon, and then I came to Tarleton and got my master's.
How was this? So you're 18, traveling. You got your own huge truck. Was it maybe a semi or just
It was
big
just
truck pulling a horse trailer?
1-ton truck and a really big trailer.
How was that? You're traveling the country on your own.
When you think about it now, I'm like, what was I doing? But I was just doing it.
Yeah, and
It
your
was
dad was
crazy.
like, "Go get it, girl."
They're like, go, we'll see y'all in a few months.
That's incredible.
So yeah.
What do you, when you look back at those memories at that, I mean, that's when all of us are formed and shaped. Like, what do you take away from that time and that independence?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I don't know if I could even do it again now. Like, if someone was to tell me, okay, well, go do that. Like, you're just so young and fearless, and you don't think about pulling over at a rest stop and someone,
Yeah.
kidnapping you or murdering you or anything like that. Like, you're just living life, and I'm really blessed I got to do that.
I think if you think like I have discovered, if you think too much about like what could happen, you're not going to do a lot.
You're
of
not going to do it.
You have to just like that's what I'm learning. Like you just got to just get out there and start taking it.
Yeah.
So
my wife, when she was, I don't know, 20 or something, her parents like got her a plane ticket and she backpacked Europe by herself for a few months. And it's like, we just think about, man.
What
and that scares me. The thing about the rodeo world is I was going all these places by myself and traveling by myself, but every rodeo grounds I got to, it was everyone I've known my whole life. And we're just a little carnival moving from place to place. So
so you're not just showing up somewhere with people you didn't know.
Yeah, if you need help or.
And the rodeo world, it's not like, I don't know. To me, they're just, you're not worried about them.
No, that's right.
It's like
a family. They're all family. Yeah.
And it's like, they all have the same value system for the most part.
Let's see how small of a world it is. Do you know Kim Schultz? She was a barrel racer for a while. She got, all right.
Darn it.
Not a small world. It's a big world still. That's awesome. So how did you get into real estate? You said you both have been doing real estate for 10 years each. So you were doing it?
So actually in that time period of me rodeoing, and when I was slowing down a little bit, I got my real estate license. I started working for a realtor as an assistant, and then ended up getting my license. And then I just kept it active, and I went to college, and that was kind of my like part-time job. I did it part-time and went through school and did all kinds of jobs, but just always had it kind of. Were you working
as an agent or as an assistant?
As an agent at that point through school and stuff. And so, it's really hard to do this job part-time knowing what I know now, but I didn't want to lose the real estate world or lose that license, but then I had this passion for geology and environmental science and stuff. So I was just trying to keep them both going and juggling them both and hoping someday they would merge together, which ended up, I feel like I didn't waste my whole time going to college. I feel like I use what I've learned a lot. I didn't know if I would ever full-time go into real estate. I was just going to see which one took me somewhere. But I ended up really, whenever I started being full-time and meeting her and being at the Platinum Group, is when I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Do you think like being assistant for all those years like really helped you now that you're like, because you're an assistant to a realtor, right? So like, was he like a killer or she, or was like, so was it like did it actually help you knowing now than just going straight into as a realtor?
I can't imagine someone just getting their license and being like, okay, I'm a realtor, let me sell your house. Like, you learn in real estate school. They teach you things, but you don't know how to actually do it out in the real world. Like it's like your ticket into the real estate world, but now you have to learn how to be a realtor. There's so much to it. So if you're not joining a team or working under somebody or being an assistant first, I think you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Doing yourself a disservice.
It's like a false start. You think you're getting ahead, but really you're just not building a foundation.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't like to hear, well, you need to go work under someone. Like, no, I just got my license. Like I want to be self-employed. And like that is the goal. Yes, but you got to.
It allows you to have confidence because, like, when you actually did have, you already knew all the. I'm assuming all the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
So.
How did you get into? You said your uncle was in real estate, but was that your path?
I honestly, so obviously ended up. I got married when I just 10 months after I'd landed here, pretty much in Texas, and then stayed. And so honestly, I didn't go to university. I didn't go to college, and I wasn't going to do that over here. And so it was all I could do, really. I was like, I had an uncle in it, and he's very good. Bernie Utridge with Icon Global. I'm pretty proud. He sold the Wagoner Ranch. So he's an amazing mentor for me, and obviously always admired him and what he did. And kind of wanted to be him, but I just lived life and never kind of settled down. And then when I got married and settled down in Texas, I was like, what am I going to do?
I have to pay bills.
How am I going to make money? Like, life is like, I'm not traveling the world anymore. Like, so real estate for me, honestly, really, my passion is people. I love meeting people. I love getting to know people, helping people, conversating. But also naturally how I grew up is what I loved, right? And what I knew. That was my education, you know, like the land, cattle, you know,
People.
the people that live it and what you're looking for. And so it kind of just naturally fell into place for me. I was like, okay, I'll go to school for it. Like, cause I could do that, you know, a course. Unfortunately, I think it's too easy to get your real estate license. But fortunately that was something that I was able to step into, and I did. And I was the same as Dylan, just like anyone. I mean, I think I made $15,000 the first year I was in real estate. Like I had a full-time job. There was no way
so
I could.
you started part-time as well.
I was part-time, yeah. And so I was in the medical field. And so scrubs during the day. At lunchtime, I had my hour break. I changed, clocked out, like got in the car, drove, showed maybe one or two places, came back, got in the scrubs, clocked back in. And at that time I didn't have children, so I was able to do it after 5 o'clock as well. So I just busted my ass to try and make it work. But I was the same as Dylan. I worked underneath a very successful local agent out in Abilene. And her name was Brandy Smith, and she's actually opening her own brokerage with Remax now. And she was amazing. So it's just like anything, you know, you can do really good at something, and people will pat you on the back and talk about it here and there. You do something wrong, and the world is going to hear that Google review. Like Yelping it, they're Google reviewing it, they're Facebook posting it, like, you know, so it's really in your favor to go underneath someone and try and not make those mistakes like that, you know, you really could as an agent when you're first, you know, brand new into it.
Could y'all share some early mistakes that you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
I mean, this is a small one, but like I remember getting in one of my first contracts, and it was like a larger sale for me, and it was like $350,000 out in Abilene, and you know, like average house in Abilene back in the day then was like $180,000. Abilene's it's a lot cheaper to purchase out that way. It's changed now, but that was 9 years ago. So I got a house for $350,000, and I was like, oh my gosh, I like balling. I was like feeling so good about it. Well, and it was a company. It was a company transferring one of their, you know, employees there. And it was just small, but I never got the option check to the title company in time. And so, you know, it was a $3,500 option fee and earnest check, and they have their 7-day period, and the company decided to back out. And I lost them $3,500. And that was a lot of money to me as a new agent back in the day. I was like, and, you know, and they were also wanting to buy like multiple houses for all their employees. The company was coming there. I mean, I lost a huge client. And so a small mistake, but, you know, huge repercussions.
But now it's seared in your mind now.
Never done that again. I never, ever made that mistake again. The worst feeling in the world. I remember crying with my, like, Brandy in the car, like, what do I do?
Life is over.
It was awful. So, but, you know, thankfully that was a small mistake, right? That wasn't the end of the world. There are much larger.
It wasn't a ship sinking incident.
Absolutely not. But like that feeling is the feeling I would rather get and learn off that tiny mistake than having to cost someone a gas pipeline easement on, you know, that's running through their property. They own it, they close, and I get a call 2 years later. You know, I don't want to learn that mistake. No. I don't want to learn that way, but that's one of mine.
Dylan, you have any funny?
Yeah.
I mean,
she's like, no, I haven't made any.
I'm just
like,
perfect.
Pretty perfect.
No,
Luxe West Realty, you want Dylan?
We're selling ourselves today.
This is Andreas. I was like, Andreas, I want to call the podcast The Wreckage, and I just want to talk about
all the bad
just the pure, because I have piled it up.
Oh yeah,
and it's like,
so
he's like, Kevin, I'm not sure if that's like what we want to be projecting here, and I'm like, okay, cool. So one day, I just want to like. So anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. So
I'll say most of my mistakes have been things that I can fix, and so it might come out of my pocket or something like that. Like I maybe portrayed to a client that the survey was covered by the other party, and then for whatever reason, like this has happened, for whatever reason, I just told them wrong, or I don't know. So I paid for it. I was like, you know, that was my mistake. You thought they were covering the survey. They're not, you are, and that's my bad. I can't think of any that I haven't been able to save.
Sure.
You know, when I first was doing big parcels of land, like
Do you think that is because you like of the team you were on and the mentors and like their leadership, or are you are a study, like you're in the book, in the details?
I think my strength is more on paper and the details. So I think that's, you know, we both have to do both things. But now that we've partnered, I mean, Chloe's strength is more than mine, talking to people, pricing, doing everything on the front end, really knowing the market. Not that I don't, not that we both don't know these things, but on the back end, like contracts and things like that, I feel like I mean, she knows
good
them
at
too.
detail. But like,
that's where my comfort
that's
is.
really
And
that's
right.
awesome to be able to complement each other so well.
So, you know, and anyways, just I put a really short objection period one time on. I've never done that again. I mean, so there's been little mistakes, but nothing's been horrible. Nothing I couldn't fix.
Just a little wind, not a big storm.
Just small baby cries.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
there's always drama though. There's always things that pop up. I think in real estate, you have to just, which is maybe why I take things on myself a little too much more. Some realtors don't, because it's really half of the time not really your job to fix that. Sometimes the mistakes aren't even yours. And I put a lot of them on myself, but there's always something that pops up.
Do you find like people, does it frustrate you that people are like the survey, it's like, it's not earth-shattering money typically, and it's like people get like zeroed in on it and they just like want to just, do you find that very frustrating? Like we were just like
100,
like we're just like we're like you're gonna blow, like do you find people blowing deals up over like the most smallest things?
I have one right now where we couldn't get past this $500 situation, and honestly
like,
they
$2
cut my
million
commission so
contract,
much that I told them, I was like, this is the stuff I take care of, but I'm not taking care of it because
y'all
cut my commission.
And you're like, you just would, and you're like, but how people can get zeroed in on it.
They're just, I'm like, we're really going to blow up this cash deal over $500. You're paying cash. So but there's always things that pop up. Every transaction, you're going to learn something new, probably forever. There's always something that comes up. So I think a big part of this job is just whether you want to take it upon yourself to fix it or you have the right team of people behind you to help fix it. It's fixing problems the whole time through a transaction is trying to figure out a new way. So you're never going to say, I have perfect transactions all the time and nothing ever goes wrong, because that's not real. It's just making sure that you have confidence in handling it, or you have the right lawyers or the right title company, or, you know, whoever on your team to help you fix it.
Can y'all tell us about, like, how does real estate work? Because you've both mentioned brokerages, and then there's teams, there's individual agents. Like, what's the hierarchy? I don't understand how it works.
So you have to be under, like, so obviously there's the broker, and then you have to be
What's the job of a broker? What is their role?
Well, I mean, I feel like, and this is just speaking definitely not textbook style, so you fix that afterwards. But like, I feel like there's two different ways to a broker. There's an active broker that's like actively, you know, like practicing real estate, and then there's managing brokers. So really, I feel there's two different types of roles for a broker. You know, like we don't have anyone under us, so like there's no reason to be managing anyone, right? But like there's managing brokers that take care of agents all day and they don't sell a lick of real estate themselves.
They answer all the questions. They make sure, you know, their income comes from making sure their agents are successful and they're answering questions for them all day. And then there's smaller boutique brokerages where the brokers are also active agents and they're kind of your competition, and they still answer questions and they do their job, but they're a little less available. And
Are y'all, is that where y'all would envision one day going to be managing brokers?
We don't really want people.
We don't want people.
We don't want people. No people.
Just because
You will be managing teams, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we really did this. We not fought, but in our heads back and forth, how we want this to go. And we went back and forth on it a lot, but we really built this for us to have peace and to do our job the right way and not have so much noise, and to just build what we know we want our real estate company to be, and not have to worry about. I mean, there are great agents that they'd be awesome additions, but we still need to be worrying about what they're putting out, how they're representing the brand, and so that's another job that I'd have to be doing instead of doing my job as an agent.
Yes.
And so we've just kind of, it might change next year, but we've decided we really want
go
to just be
100%
us.
with y'all too.
Yeah. And we do have a licensed assistant agent. We do have a licensed agent under us, but she's more of an assistant. But obviously she's licensed to be able to answer any questions, show properties if we need.
Yeah.
And then, we do have a team of people, but not necessarily a team of agents.
Gotcha.
Right, like
yes.
office support,
Correct.
backs,
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yes.
Yeah. You have infrastructure,
Yes.
but just not a bunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to, within business, you can take 50 paths, and it doesn't mean that one is good and bad, or
For sure.
it's just what do you want, and that's cool that you've focused before you start, so where you're driving the train instead of being driven by your business.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because if we would have let it, when we started this, we had 20 agents that wanted to join. And that would have just been a completely different path. Not saying it would have been bad or wrong, but it would have been way different.
A different journey.
Yeah, different journey. Yeah. I mean, we may have some heavier pockets right now. Don't get me wrong. So, it was a little sad to say no to that, but we do feel at peace with the decision that we made, because we know, honestly, what Luxe West can provide a client without having to hope that the agents underneath us got the same
Doing the same.
mindset.
Right.
Yes.
And then you're like, how good are we at hiring, or how good are
Honestly,
we at
that's a
recruiting?
whole nother,
That's a different skill
it's
set.
a whole different skill set. And so really Luxe West is, and I know we've talked about what you guys want to bring to the table. I know it sounds so cliche, but we want to be the extra. And when it's so unique to already find two minds that think alike, that bring different things to the table, which is what Dylan and I are able to do in the same career path. So in order to try and find 3 or 4 or 5 more of those, I don't know if that's doable. And so it would be great for our bank accounts, because we'd be able to make them successful. But I do think that Luxe West Realty would probably be watered down after time on what we have as a standard right now.
That's cool.
So.
And in a few years, maybe you've set such a standard. Like you said, who knows what the future has.
Yeah, it may. And we may want to step back and not necessarily. But I just don't think that you can handle it all at once, right?
No, and I think, like you said, you spend time solidifying the brand, and then once you do that, you'll kind of attract.
Yeah.
Once
attracts like.
Yeah.
Because you get some people that are like,
Yeah.
some people they know, hey, they're going at 120 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I want to go at 70.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's like once you kind of establish what you're all about,
Absolutely.
it kind of will filter if you ever decide.
We're so competitive and passionate at selling real estate still. I don't know if we're, if someone does come on, we want to give them our everything. And so right now we want to give ourselves our everything, selfishly. Yeah. And so I just, maybe in 5 years we'll take the step back, and then we can balance that by giving them that attention.
How many listings can give me 2 different numbers. A good agent can handle this many listings simultaneously, and a great agent can handle this many listings and deliver great service.
I think it's just so different in the space we're in, which is like farm and ranch and land and things like that, because the bigger the properties they get, the more, you can't just have a system. Like if you are in Fort Worth and all the houses are cookie cutter kind of the same, you can have a system, but when you get these bigger properties, I mean, they take a lot more of your time, and they should. So I think your volume goes down.
Yeah, for sure.
Of as many listings as you can handle goes down as you raise your price point a little bit.
The larger the property.
I don't know. I mean, that's a hard number.
We've had 25 listings between us, and again,
we've had 50 between us.
And we've got 25. No, maybe not 25 now. We've had 50 between us too. But I mean, we've got a team that helps with things. So I mean, I think again, it really depends on what your kind of listings are and your clients, honestly.
Yeah.
Everything is really driven by your seller, your clientele, because you can have a client that is extremely needy, and if you have 1 or 2 of those out of the 50 listings that you've got, you can handle it. if you've got 50 of those, we're not going to be successful. Like, so it really matters your clientele of who you've got at that moment.
When we start, so our tagline for our business is a better build experience. And when we start a project, we ask our customers, what does that mean to you, right? Because maybe some customers want the daily
Sure.
update, and maybe it's like, hey, look, just talk to me weekly, or if something new happens, you know, let me know.
Right.
But having each customer define their experience gives you a better roadmap.
Absolutely.
To individualize.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a really hard question to answer.
And the market, I think
Yeah,
the market
bull
affects
market or
that a
bear.
lot, because a slower market, not that sellers get needier, but they're not selling as fast. And so they have a lot more questions like, what is happening? Why is this not selling? And in a fast-paced market, you know, you get it listed, you get your pictures, you do all your stuff right, it sells, you move on.
So true.
You can handle a lot more in that.
If he was a needy customer, you're not going to have him long.
Yeah.
Because
And
we
so,
go.
you know, you
Just
can
like-
get through it, and you
yeah.
can just keep them rolling in. But in this market,
You're organizing open houses
it is harder
every
to
weekend.
have
like,
more in this market, because you're
work
doing a
harder.
lot more work.
Can you all talk to us about what are challenges that you face as a buying agent versus challenges you face as a selling agent? 'Cause I would think as a buying agent, like taking people to properties over and over, and they might not like it. They might not like it. Just
There's
We
two different,
go back and forth on this a lot.
we do. Like
On
sellers,
what we like more.
like obviously the goal in real estate, right? You want to be a listing agent. You want to be the listing agent. You don't ever really want to have buyers. Like if you ever look at any high-end agents, most of them, that's their goal, to be a listing agent and never really have to have buyers, and they've got a buyer agent. However, you know, we go back and forth on this because a listing is never guaranteed a sale, right? But as a buyer, no matter what, you're not always guaranteed that sale. You're going to work your butt off driving around and doing all the things. But generally, those people are moving for a reason, and they have to move, right? So you're going to make a sale. It's just a matter of when. So that's kind of the difference in that perspective. Like you can have a listing for 6 months and work really hard, and it never even sells, and you make nothing off it. You can have a buyer for 6 months, and this can happen too. They may not buy, but 90% of the time, there's a time frame. They've got a job, school starting. You're going to have that sale. So, like, I go back and forth between those.
yeah, I mean, Kevin, I think about you looked for 2 years, you know, a year and a half, 2 years for your land.
Yeah.
Like that is, what kind of just suck is that for the agent?
You're like,
is
come on,
is that
man.
typical? Like,
Yeah, that sucks. I'm happy I wasn't your agent, kid.
Yes.
I'm joking.
No,
not
but you
really.
are. It's like which nowadays it is set up. I mean, we were set up on like when it hit it would email us.
Sure. Right.
Our parameters. So we would kind of filter that. You know, I don't know, like, okay, hey, I want to go look. Okay,
Yes.
so then you call, hey, let's go look. But still, we probably looked at 6 different properties.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
that's
you're
not even much
So
over
you do
2
feel
years.
bad
That's
because
okay.
it's like,
Yeah, no,
it's
don't
like
feel bad. That's not bad at all.
And
what number is bad? If you're looking at properties,
I've shown someone 30 houses before, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
we need to
God.
buy a house today.
Yeah.
That's what we
you need
to
to
do. Come
buy.
on.
And you know-
here's another agent.
And they say, oh my gosh, I just found this for sale by owner. Or they're like, I'm going to lease. I can't find what I want. But I mean, you know, like we're not going to pretend that like that sucks big time. But we're in this industry for that hand holding. Like, honestly, we don't want anyone to feel like that's going to bother us, because in the end, whoever your agent was, you're likely, after building this amazing home, you're likely to call her when you're ready to sell it, right? So like there is going to be that
the long
circle of
term.
life. It's a long-term relationship, you know. So we never ever want anyone to think. And even those lease people, they end up leasing. Guess
Then
who
they'll
they're
buy
calling?
later.
They're calling us, and when they're ready to buy. So. Is it
Yeah, you have to
frustrating?
think
But
long.
yeah, you think.
It's like frustrating because especially if they're buyers, you've kind of, you know, hey, you know their price range. So to some extent, you've already kind of in your mind, I don't know, you've already in your mind, hey,
You're like, I
we
can
made
make
the
this
money.
much off of
I don't know, you know, like, that's how I am. You're
Yeah.
like, we just got to get this deal done.
Yeah.
And, and then when that's where it's a gut punch. You're like, man,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
But like you said, when you think long term, it's going to turn into a lot more.
It does.
You know?
You have to have that. And that's what a lot of agents struggle with. And that's why a lot of them don't last, I believe, is because those can be some gut punches. And it can be really hard to get through all of that. And I feel like those happen, they see bad things happen in 3s. In real estate, I swear it's bad things happen in 10s. If you have one buy go down, you're going to have the next 10 go down.
Yeah, this industry, not even in good and bad markets, you're going to have this with your income. It just it is what it is.
And sometimes it's in 10s for goods too. You got one good one go and then 10 income. But you got to be in it for the long haul.
Yes. So, okay, this is more entrepreneurship. Like, you started this business knowing this. How do you plan? Okay, we're heading into a bear market, or interest rates are rising. How does a successful real estate agency, swim through these currents?
We DoorDash as well.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, we've just been lucky to make it through. I mean, we have good clients, and it does slow down some, and it's not always, the high of the highs, but we just,
I don't know. Somehow we're still eating. Yeah. Fortunately, there's
really no way to plan in this, and to just know that money's coming in. There's just no way. You cannot just
have to have a war chest and hope it lasts.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why we both did the whole part-time. You get to a place where you work enough where when you take that step into full-time, you've got some rain check,
relationship.
Yeah,
equity.
and then you start your pipeline, and you really, I really do feel like you've just got to feel confident enough that you've got a pipeline going, and it's not like an inner confidence. It actually shows because you do end up having deals just keep going, right? Yeah. Because they're coming in and you're working something. So what we did 10 years ago is catching up. So.
And you just have to change with the market. I mean, it'll be completely different as it slows down. It's harder to sell things, but now you have those buyers that want to come invest and get the good deals again. I mean, there's always something happening.
Yeah, the counter trade.
Yeah, it's just
with every market,
there's
there's a counter players for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's cool.
For sure.
Man, I had a question, and it was a great question.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, and it is. I was
ready
going to single
for it.
you
We're
out and ask you to sing. I don't know.
It's kind of a cliche answer, but it is true. I want to know, what's as a realtor, what separates a good one versus a bad one? What's that separation?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I would say no-brainer is the full-time agent, right? There's a lot of
no-brainer.
Full-time.
Oh, full-time. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
A lot of moms.
There's a lot of moms, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We were that once upon a time. However, if we're really going to be honest, you want to hire someone that is full-time in it, and so that would be one of the first things. The second thing would be
drive, internal ambition.
Hustlers.
And honestly, a passion for it. I know that sounds so cliche, but there is a satisfaction. I'm sure just like when you guys complete a build for someone, that satisfaction of handing it over and seeing them do that final walkthrough and the happiness that they've got, you're just he's laughing, so I feel there's a story here. There's double-edged sword there. But I know it sounds cliche, but you've got to enjoy that. Because like I said, you can be in it for 6 months and not sell something and not close on those people. And unless you remember that feeling of what it's like when you finally do, you've got to have that drive that keeps you going for what makes you want to keep doing it. Otherwise, that's why a lot of the agents, I feel fall off. They're screw this. It's not all about money. It really can't be all about money. No. And they're I'm not making it. I got to go.
Well, like you said, this fit your personality traits.
Yeah.
I like talking with people. I like moving. This suits.
Yeah.
All your trades to professions suit specific people, naturally.
Yes. And not being, I think that what isn't not being just putting them on a listing. One of the things that we love doing is it's almost like a puzzle piece. Let's match people to this property or this property. And you've got this client that's 2 years ago and you're see this property and they are in your mind. And we sit down and you want to call on something. Is that going to be sold? This would be great for, it's it's marrying people in real estate together too. Instead of just being oh, you want to buy $800,000 property. Let's put you on an MLS listing alert and away you go. That's what an average agent will do.
Yes.
But I feel like we are going to be like, okay, you want 800,000? I sold this place to these people a few years ago. Like, they don't really probably want to be there anymore. Let me call them. Hey guys, y'all want to sell? You know, like little things like that give us some edge.
No, because it gives it to, because it's like when people feel when you're given that, where you're like, hey, because you're sitting there going like, hey, your personality, this is your property. And you try, obviously you can't always make it happen, but like that type of way of doing it.
And all of that comes with, and we didn't want to hear this when we first started either, but with just being in the industry for a long time. And then you know the properties because you sold that property 5 years ago and 8 years ago, and just knowing the area and knowing other agents that you know that they've been working on this place. It's not up yet, but it's about to be. And it just comes with doing it every day. And that really sucks when you're first starting because someone giving you that advice isn't very helpful. But you just got to stay in it.
Earn your stripes.
Earn your
Okay,
stripes.
thanks. Yeah.
And it really is like, there's so many exits when you're starting out that you could just exit it, and you could have justified it in your head, and everybody would have said the same thing. Oh, it wasn't for you. But there's so many times you could just exit it, and just went on with your life. But it's the people that I think that stay in it, because you love it. I mean, it's like, but because it's so easy to quit. It's like, there's so many times, and there's legitimate, real reasons to quit.
Absolutely.
There really is.
And like, maybe not worse than quitting, but to settle for mediocrity. Like, hey, I can justify not being excellent. This is good.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it's so much easier to have not easier. I don't know if it's easier or not, but sometimes in this industry, it feels better to just be like, you know what? I'm just going to have a normal job and a normal paycheck. And I know that comes every month, and I don't have to worry about it.
I have fantasized.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's just not for me. I've never been able to work under people, and I'll take the highs and lows.
I will too. And the victory
Is yours.
No, it's like when you hit, like, either you score good on a job, or you said, you had a customer that's super excited, that's happy when your job, and then sometimes just the pure satisfaction of the work when you're done and you're walking away, and you're like, man, this is like such a satisfying thing. That's where but there is times that I have been fantasizing, like, hey, why are we doing, like, why don't I go, like,
why do we put this pressure on us?
Well, I should have chose a different profession.
It's
like,
it's a stressful way to live.
but it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what else,
you would do.
I have no idea. But
So talk to me about the market. Like, it's 2023, close to 24. Interest rates are as high as they've been in decades. We are west of Fort Worth, right? So for our, handful of listeners that don't know where we are, what does the market look like right now? What does it look like in a few years along I-20, south of I-20?
I mean, we believe it's coming this west.
There's nowhere else for it to go. I mean, it's going to come this way. So I feel like we're in a very safe area if you like growth. I mean, if you don't want growth, you need to keep on rolling west.
You need to go help somewhere else grow.
But I think that it'll keep coming out this way, and it'll stay a strong market.
Is it DFW Metroplex expansion? Is it out-of-staters? Is it people that don't want to be in Austin anymore?
You know what COVID did is it really gave a lot of companies the insight into how many of their employees will still do their job the right way, even if they're not in the office every day, I feel like. And I feel like a lot of our clients, or a lot of my clients, have been that. They, from COVID, got a little more, they can go to the office twice a week and still be fine. So now they can live an hour outside of town, and they don't mind driving there 2 days a week if they don't have to live in the middle of, And I feel like that's changed a lot. As far as people moving out further and further, is they don't have to be there 5 days a week.
Absolutely.
I've never once considered that, of just like the blended work. So I used to work for over a decade from home, like 100%.
Yeah.
I went to the Metroplex once a month.
Right.
But yeah, if you're used to 5 days a week and now you're down to 2 or sometimes 1,
Yeah.
you don't mind driving 2 hours each way.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's helped a lot. Technology has helped a lot with people being able to live further from big cities and
Do you have many buyers from Dallas that are doing that?
A lot of them. Honestly, we had a lot out of state through COVID. There was a lot from out of state coming in, obviously, but I would say that's slowed down, and now it really is our
people
Metroplex
coming out.
Buyers coming out.
That's awesome. And so Luxe West Realty has an office in Santo and in Stephenville. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any other office locations budding?
It's all we can handle right now. Yeah, we are we're excited. We just started a remodel. Our one in Santo is done and cute, but we just started remodeling our one in Stephenville. So, we'll,
Can you tell me what is the status of Aledo versus Weatherford? Then you have Brock, Santo. Like, what does the demographic look like? Who's the buyer persona for each of those cities, and how is it transitioning?
Ooh.
How do we nicely say
I
this?
don't know. You want me to put that on the podcast?
I used to hear Aledo was the new Southlake, and now Brock is the new Aledo, and then now
Santo is the new Brock.
Yeah. Is that true?
For sure. Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
But you see that, like, because we're kind of targeting that I-20 corridor there. You see that just continually pushing west.
100%. Like Dylan said, if someone can get on I-20 and get to work within an hour or 2 hours drive, and we're right in our market is right around that whole interstate, so we're good.
Yes.
So yes, absolutely. And even like Gordon, like Mingus, it's beautiful land too. So like,
yes.
People are kind of like, oh wow, I didn't really realize how pretty it is out here.
Higher end people that live in Fort Worth have a really nice home on half an acre. They realize they can have an even nicer home on 20 acres if they just went 30 minutes further, and that keeps pushing them out.
And that blended work that you're talking about allows them to accomplish.
To do that, yeah, for sure. And again, like, people still want, all of our demographic all still want to be able to go to Fort Worth for a nice meal, right? Like
100%.
And so like that's kind of like,
that is why I didn't like that.
Kevin has 3 kids. He doesn't know what a nice meal is for a long time. Yeah.
But I will, like, I was looking in Hico for a while. I was like, well, Hico's pretty, but man, I like being able to, like, jump onto 81, hit at 20, and then I'm at Del Frisco's in an hour.
Yeah. See, like,
and
that's
it's like, boom.
great. Yep. And see, it matters, right?
Like, for me, I like
it. Does. So I think that's in our favor for sure. Yeah.
We've listed like 6 cities or municipalities. How y'all started in January, the flies. Apologize. I hope that I hope the videos, the video
let's just call it the fly session.
Next time I'm going to have to, like, nuke the house.
Oh, man. They're all, like, trust me, we're used to it.
Yeah. How do you penetrate? You started in January with a new name, new marketing, new brand.
Yeah.
How do you penetrate each of these different markets?
I think it's our relationships. I mean, yes, people eventually will maybe start recognizing Luxe West, and that'll gain its own clients in its own right. But most of our clients come from the agent and our whole industry. I mean, if an agent goes from one brokerage to another, those clients aren't going to stay with that brokerage. They're going to go where the agent goes, because that's who their relationship is with and who they trust. So I don't think
that's why
it didn't
managing
slow down.
broker has to be desirable to work for.
Absolutely.
Right. That's why they want to keep their
Absolutely.
agents happy.
Yeah.
So I don't think making that change and starting this really affected our business.
No, I don't think so either. Obviously, the goal is that, like, Luxe West becomes the brand that is, like, highly recognized, and that is something that people want to call, even if they don't know Dylan and myself. But right now, we were able to still put food on the table because of the past relationships. So we had enough of a pipeline and relationships, beyond that. Transitioning from our last brokerage to opening our own wasn't, like, detrimental to our business. Like, it was still Chloe, it was still Dylan,
How do agents, so if, like, you're talking relational equity, how do agents engage and build new relationships? I mean, it's people call and you pass on, you know, referrals, but what are other manners and methods that agents engage and use?
I would like someone to teach me that, because I honestly think that thankfully we've been successful without having to engage in much of like dialing that down. Like, what do we need to do to get business? And so that's what's kind of exciting for Luxe West, is that we have been able to, we got some coaching, Ryan Adams, shout out. And even he was like, and I'm kind of patting ourselves on the shoulder here a little bit right now. Okay.
But I'll say it's bad, but also
it's bad, but good. But like, we have been able to grow a business and what we have individually and then combine together. And we really didn't know what we were doing in order to do that. We definitely knew what we were doing in real estate, contracts, like how to represent.
We
like,
weren't intentionally seeking
but
a zip code and farming it and doing any of that, which is something that we can do and we will.
We will do. I mean,
But,
and that's what I'm excited for.
We've luckily had enough business just from, like you said, referrals and word of mouth and meeting people and people giving us a chance, and they're like, well, yeah, and then they just keep going with us.
It's like your intrinsic skill set.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So thankfully, like that, I mean, I would love to hear how other agents do it, because at some point, like that's, you never want to, like, we always want to grow and like we want to get to the next level. So that will matter to us more here in 6 months' time when we're able to sort of be settled with everything we've got. But yeah, I feel like thankfully, like Ryan, my point was, is that he was like, how are you girls here doing this when you don't even know where this person came from? Like, what?
People just call us, and I'll have to like write down
guys.
on a notepad when she's on the phone, like, where did they hear about you? And because we'll just pick up a phone and someone's like, oh, I want to list my house. And she's like, okay, I'll be there tomorrow. And I'm like, you don't know them. You don't know where they came from, how'd they call you.
Yeah.
We just do it.
Yeah.
When we started, I said, Kevin, where are our customers going to come from?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. We're going to start and they're going to come.
Yeah.
And I was like, awesome. Let's do it.
Thankfully.
Well,
like,
it's like, and some days, and, you know, I'll let you know in a year if that worked. You know, it's like, but it's like but then that's where he's like, hey, let's get some other things to like,
Of course.
to start trying to build a brand and
People
get to know you and
Yeah.
things. So I was okay, cool. But yeah, no, on the framing, because my background is framing, it was very much just, hey, like,
yeah.
and then you just word of mouth,
Yeah.
and you just get a reputation of being good at your
Absolutely.
of a craft.
Yes.
We were building framing, and the next thing you know, man, you're
It's
working.
happening. It's
Yeah,
happening.
and it's the
yeah.
so
Yeah, for sure.
So this is where our fields intersect. A starter home today is like, can we say $300,000?
Sure. Yeah,
Is that fair?
absolutely.
Is that sustainable?
It's crazy, right?
Like, is there much profit margin for the builder at 300? Depends on the finishings, but maybe not really.
Yeah.
So like, how is it sustainable for? I didn't have $300,000. I don't
I know,
have
a
300.
first-time home buyer, right? Yeah.
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 What is it? Is this a discussion within
Well,
real
and
estate?
rent is going up too, just because the people that, unless they've owned them for 10 years. If someone is wanting to invest in a property and they want to, you know, not that they have to have a mortgage on it, but if they want to have a mortgage on it, that rent has to be pretty high just to cover the payment, just interest rates and the price of property itself. So your rent is slowly getting pushed up whether they want it to or not. So if the first-time home buyer can't buy that house, they have to rent, but that's getting pretty high. I don't see them just going down. I think
Yeah.
just
I mean,
it is
so
what it is.
first time home buyer. That I mean, you take them, and it is what it is. Is there any other options? Like, what if there is a home buyer, somebody looking to buy a home, and they're struggling with that? Would you give them any advice, or would you direct them and steer them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, of course, the first step is connecting with the lender and see what they can really truly afford payment wise. And in that price range, it's not so much of what they get approved for, it's what monthly payment do you feel comfortable at.
Yeah. Those people budget, right? Like those price
so
ranges.
we can work with that. And there are still good deals. You know, you don't have to have a perfect new home. I mean, if you're starting. So, you know, just like we were talking about, if you really need to be in a really tight price range, then you might need to be driving a little bit further, but go a little bit further and go to some small towns that you can still afford, and you're going to drive for a few years, and then as it grows, you'll have more equity in that house and you can sell it and move.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Closer to what you
you
want.
kind of have to give on one side and
Yeah.
see what you can
I
do,
read
but-
this thing the other day. It's not, don't worry about the first house that you buy. And that's really hard for a first time home buyer to be okay
I bought
with
it
that.
knowing I was going to be there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't worry about the first house. Just get it. Get into your house. Get into that first house, whether it's $180,000, whether it's $300,000. Just get into that first house, because that ball starts rolling with your equity once you finally have that first piece of real estate, right? You sit on it. I remember my first house, there was no way, I couldn't believe I had $40,000 to spend on another house. Like, I would never have been able to save that up in my life when I bought my first house. But then I got into that first house, and then I lived in it for the 3 or 4 years that we were there. And then all of a sudden, like, your ball just, it snowballs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
so that's the snowball effect. So get into real estate, buy that house. If you're a renter and you're listening, like, it really is the only way to start that snowball effect, because saving that cash, you're never ever going to be able to be in the position that you will by the time you have the equity in your first home.
Because you're
right?
building equity and your home is appreciating.
And that's correct. That's
so
correct.
it's a double edged.
And so the only thing like sustainable, talking about it being, you know, is it sustainable? 300,000, like how are people getting into this? The margin from a builder standpoint, you know, obviously I'm not as educated on that, but like what I think is making it doable for those first time home buyers is that lenders are getting creative. Like they're not able to, like, they have to save up still the same amount of money or less, but like they're kind of getting the short end of the stick, but lenders are able to create these programs that like are able to make it doable for them to get into these houses.
To get started.
To get started. And is it great?
Maybe you have the balloon payment at 10 years, but
Absolutely.
you sell at 5 with 5 years of equity.
So like, you know, interest rates right now, the 2-1 buy down. So like interest rates are at 8% right now, say, I'm not quoting that, but 8%. And you do the 2-1 buy down. So you buy, you know, it's their monthly mortgage, because again, that's what matters to these people. Like not these people, but like us as first time home buyers, you budget monthly, big
Yes.
time. That monthly payment really matters. So it's like, okay, well, I can afford X amount. Well, at 8% interest rate, I really can't afford that. That's overwhelming to them, but they have the money saved. So there's programs like 2-1 buy down where the lender's like, okay, well, you get into this, your first year is 2% less, so it's at 6%. Your second year is at then 7%. At your third year, you then lock in at the 8% rate, but refinance by then, hopefully. So it gives them that 3-year window. Maybe we can refi by then, or guess what? Sell your house, get out of it. 3 years. Average person's in there. It used to be 5 to 7. I feel like it's 3 to 5 now. And so that's kind of helping them get that foot in, I think. And I'm not a lender, but like we just had someone here recently talk about that to us, and I may be not saying that exactly correctly, but like that is essentially the idea of what's helping these first time home buyers into these homes. So
That's I like that.
yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
What is y'all's, now you've probably taken on a lot, but what, like if 3 years from now, what target of what customer is an ideal customer? Are y'all like looking for big farm and ranch houses, or do you or you're like, hey, we're going to take it all, or what are your goals, or what's your
luxury Western? Right? No, I mean but farm and ranch is our passion. And with homes, like nice horse places, or, you know, nice homes on land, or just bare land. That's kind of where
that's where you really would like to be.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we would love to have some, you know, super large ranches that we just had to focus on those, you know, within the 12 months of your real estate year, if that's what it sells within. But again,
what is a super large ranch?
Oh, see, yeah, I guess let's go $sign on that.
Okay.
Let's go $sign, because I honestly, like, it really, you can have one on 1,000 acres and a home with green carpet in it, and it costs less than the 20-acre mansion, you know, in just on the outskirts of the Metroplex. So I guess like it really is a matter of like, I mean, it's all about making money. Don't lie. Like we want to have like
what's a big, is an expensive or big large property? Is that 5 million? Is that 1 million? Is that 10 million?
Oh, that's really broad, I guess, like for farm and ranch, like, because again, it comes down to like the land cost value, the house cost value, the exterior amenities on it, like stalls.
Oh yeah, your barns. Your this.
So
2 million up.
Yeah, 2 million up is definitely in our area a good price range for something like that. Yeah, but sounding cliche, we also love selling like a 2-acre place that's like an 800 square foot cute little cottage home to our clients too. Like,
well, we just listed 2 starter homes in Granbury with y'all. It's been wonderful working with you so far.
Yes, and so it's never about like, oh, we're only going to farm this. Would that be our goal? Probably no different to you guys. You'd love to build,
Which house is profitable?
Well, that's what like on my framing side. All my guys, like, we all like the big, cool houses, but everybody wants, every once in a while, they just want a small, just a house where they don't think.
Yeah.
They're just out there having fun, enjoying a day.
For sure.
So it's like, it's nice to sprinkle in some, like you said, a cool little house.
And I'm not sure with us, I think it'll go the direction that it goes, but with us, it'll always be more about the clientele. Like, it'll be the people in our industry, people in the rodeo world or the Western world. Oh my goodness. And it doesn't matter if they're just starting or
I mean, honestly,
or if they've made it and they're doing a $20 million ranch.
For sure. Because we literally have a client this Saturday. Like he's looking for, over 6 sections of land. That's a client. But then we're going to go to an auction on Saturday for a duplex for him, and we're going to bid on it. And it's, so like there really is not, a number. Like, it really comes down to who we end up working with and enjoying. That would be more the goal. Who do we enjoy working with?
Attracting your
buyer.
That takes
us
nothing
all
wrong
to
with
make it
Zillow
nice.
buyers, but not taking not having to take every Zillow buyer that calls and makes you just go video 50 houses before they.
Because that's when you end up wasting your time.
Yes.
So that would be where I say, like, we would love to get eventually, we would say we're successful, is being able to pick and choose out who we work with a little bit more, as opposed to, okay, well, that's 2 million,
run it around like
but I
crazy.
really don't know if I want to work.
You want a bit where you can just say, I know this person is he's serious,
Enjoyable.
whether selling or buying, or
Absolutely.
and it's enjoyable. The transaction's fun
Absolutely.
and enjoyable.
And honestly, in this industry, when you're first starting, it's a little bit harder to make buyers have everything in line ready to buy, and then you start showing homes, because you're just like, okay, well, hopefully I can like talk them into buying once I go show them some homes, and you waste a lot of time and you do stuff. But as you grow in this industry, you can say, can't wait to work with you, but you need to get all your ducks in a row. We're going to get fully approved, pre-approved. Know you're ready to buy. Go. So as you grow, you waste less time.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, you have more confidence in like, hey, this is our system.
Yeah.
And you've got to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because it
honestly,
ultimately saves you time. But when you're young, when you're starting out, you're like, hey, we got to hit it. We got to go.
I can't tell you how many.
And it saves them heartache.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah,
it
you're
does.
like, oh, I want
it is the right way to do it.
You
for
lost
sure.
it because you weren't prepared. So you helped their experience with a little bit of
100%.
So I think we're kind of wrapping up, but if anybody's listening and you were to offer just an elevator pitch of, hey, this is who we are and this is the service we bring, you wanna close with that or any other thoughts?
Oh gosh, okay. Do we do the awkward, can you do the awkward hands and I'll talk?
Yeah.
We are Dylan and I both bring different things to the table. So you really are getting a 2-in-1 with the two of us, because our bank accounts are obviously separate, but like we are both always there for one another, whether it's my client or whether it's her client that we're helping each other out on. And Luxe West Realty really wants to kind of zone in and give everything for that client, and specifically see them win in the end, whether it's helping them invest, whether it's helping them buy their first home, whether it's helping them sell their last family home, their ranch. There's a lot of emotions tied to real estate. And realtors can get really bad raps, and we're looked at like car salesmen, you know, and we want to take that out.
Profiteers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there's a lot of them out there like that, for sure. There's reasons that reputation is out there. But Dylan and I really enjoy getting to know who we're working with and matching them to that piece of property. And we kind of have a really badass system. Like, we have good assistant, we have amazing marketing. We really kind of have next level stuff going on with kind of our image on what we enjoy in life. And it kind of just works pretty good.
It's a really long elevator.
No, it's good.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, we took us to the 15th
You stopped
floor.
the hands.
Yeah.
Like, I started having to do the hands.
Any other thoughts? Any questions, Kevin? Before we,
No, I think I'm good.
all right, guys, it has been, ladies, it has
enjoyable.
been
That
a
was
pleasure.
cool. Yeah, we did good.
You-
That was,
It was awesome. So thank you for coming. And episode 8, real estate with
Episode
Luxe
8.
West Realty.